Next, let's take a look at big story today. Of course, the OCR, you'll get that news later from the Reserve Bank, and Anna Bremen, who is the new Reserve Bank Governor, will announce her first decision. Of course, the decision is made by the Monetary Policy Committee. It's not just the rate that will be announced today, which they're expecting to hold, but the forward track. What happens next? When do they start hiking? That's the question on everyone's lips. Brad Olsen is the Principal Economist at Infometrics. Brad, good morning.
Good morning.
So, what do you think they're going to say about that forward track?
Well, you're sort of right. I mean, they're in a bit of a tricky spot now because they had been expecting to raise the official cash rate quite a bit later, more into 2027. Now everything has moved a whole lot quicker. But equally, they'll be a little bit cautious about sort of coming up with too strong of a track, sort of saying, look, interest rates are going to imminently increase, because that could, well, set the cat amongst the pigeons. If you're a household, you're already a bit cautious, given that those longer term interest rates have started to lift. If the Reserve Bank comes out too quickly, too strongly, you sort of could start to undermine the economic recovery, but equally, you've then got inflationary pressure. So in my mind, they'll bring the track forward a bit, they'll steepen it a bit, which effectively means that I think they'll start picking an official cash rate increase in the second half of 2026. That'll give them enough time to assess how the economy moves, but is also a clear enough signal that things are about to change sooner rather than later.
But then the markets, because what's happened was last time, well, I think it was November's MPS, they said it'll be second half of next year. So we're talking quite a shift already. And then the markets go, oh, well, they're going to do it this year. So if they say this year, then, in the second half of this year, do the markets say, oh, it's going to be first half,
It's an interesting question, and I think normally the markets will wait a little bit for the Reserve Bank to set the tone and then react to it. Now, in November, all the markets sort of could hear from the Reserve Bank was that there were no further cuts to be made, which meant that the next move had to be an increase. Now, the Reserve Bank wasn't particularly strong on that view itself. It didn't sort of scream that from the rooftops. But at the moment, you do have the markets that are now pricing in already what I just said, that sort of second half of this year, around September, October, November sort of time for an increase. So I wouldn't expect that the markets will read too much or sort of go too much earlier than that. I've said previously before that at the absolute earliest the Reserve Bank could probably go is likely May. They probably just don't have enough information before then to go categorically move quicker or not. So I think everyone will be, I'm not going to say relaxed, but that's probably not going to move the markets too much. It's probably more the signaling that it then has to households and to businesses, right? That we're in this uncomfortable position where inflation has been higher than expected. The recent inflation expectation surveys from both businesses and professional forecasters were starting to show a bit more heat as well, which is uncomfortable. The Reserve Bank won't want to overreact immediately, but it will want to put a bit more of a line in the sand with the new governor. And I think it's got the perfect opportunity today, not only to lay that out, but an hour after the decision, the new governor will front a press conference where she'll be able to outline a whole lot more than just the written word. She can talk, she can take questions from journalists, and hopefully give us a bit more of a guided path through how they're thinking of all these challenges.
Brad, appreciate the update. Brad Olsen, Infometrics.